Hello, everyone. A very, very, very warm welcome to the Fisdom Wealthcast. थोड़ी सी देर हो गई. We had a few technical snacks, but hey, we are back here, and I am sure I'm going to more than compensate with it. Today with us, we have amongst the most sought after veterans in the asset management industry. I personally am super excited to have this conversation. A very warm welcome, Nilesh. A very warm welcome to the Fisdom Wealthcast.
Thank you, Nirav, for having me over here.
So, guys, I'm sure everyone knows Nilesh already, but for the ones who don't know Nilesh, firstly, you really need to be living under a rock to not know him. But Nilesh is the group president and CEO, managing director of Kotak Mutual Fund. So, Nilesh, I'm so excited, so stoked to have this conversation. मेरे ख्याल से हम exactly एक साल बाद बात कर रहे हैं. पिछली बार हमने एक वेल्थ स्पेस किया था अगस्त 2021 में. और अब हम फिर से सितंबर 2022 में बात कर रहे हैं. इट्स ऑलमोस्ट बीन अ ईयर एंड द वर्ल्ड हैज चेंज्ड एंड आल्सो नॉट चेंज्ड सो मच राइट ड्यूरिंग दिस कोर्स. सो एक साल में जो एक चीज नहीं बदला है वो है मेरा पहला सवाल आपसे. मार्केट में बहुत हलचल तो हो ही रही है. पिछली बार आपने गैम्बलर और ग्रेट गैम्बलर वाली कहानी सुनाई थी अबाउट हाउ सेंट्रल बैंक्स आर ट्राइंग टू मैनेज. सो जनता का सवाल तभी भी यही था और आज भी यही है सबसे बड़ा सवाल कि मार्केट क्या बोलता है. सो नीलेश भाई, आपके शब्द में मार्केट आज क्या बोल रहा है?
आज की मार्केट को बेस्ट डिस्क्राइब कर सकते हैं ओल्ड हिंदी मूवी मुगले आजम से. उस फिल्म में एक डायलॉग था वेयर पृथ्वीराज कपूर गोज टू मधुबाला एंड पृथ्वीराज कपूर इज पोर्ट्रेइंग रोल ऑफ अकबर एंड मधुबाला इज अनारकली एंड ही सेज अनारकली सलीम की मोहब्बत तुम्हें मरने नहीं देगी और हम महाबली अकबर तुम्हें जीने नहीं देंगे. That Anarkali had only one Akbar to deal with.
Yeah.
Our Anarkali market has to deal with four Akbar. First is Vladimir Putin, who has invaded Ukraine and created tension for the entire world.
Yeah.
Linked to him is oil prices, which went up to triple digit, now in double digit.
Yeah.
Oil higher, our market lower. Oil lower, our market higher.
Yeah.
Linked to oil is inflation. As inflation goes up, market valuation comes down. And linked to inflation is final Akbar Raja, Jeremy Powell of US Fed, where he says US interest rates will determine asset valuation across the world.
Yes.
So it will be fair to say that in the near term, this four Akbar Raja, oil, inflation, US interest rates, and Russia Ukraine situation will continue to impact our market. However, as my daughter mentioned, पापा आजकल अनारकली डिस्को करने जाती है. तो same way our market will eventually perform. We know point A to point B journey is like this. It's going up.
Yeah.
But in between, there is a roller coaster, right?
In between, there's a disco happening.
Yes.
Absolutely. It's so much fun, Nilesh. I feel that was wonderfully put. I need to really zoom in right now and need to talk about home, right? That's India. आपके recent कुछ engagements में भी आपने एक बहुत ही प्यारा सा एक उदाहरण दिया था कि India is like the oasis in the desert, right? I'm so used to saying desert. So sorry, guys, desert. So India is the so India is the oasis in the desert. हम ये जानना चाहते हैं कि आपकी राय में why do you view India as an oasis and what is the desert right in the middle of which are we finding India?
So I'll just share some of the news stories which I have read about rest of the world and India in last 15 days. In US, 1 in 6 household is behind in making payment of utility bills.
Okay.
1 in 6 household.
That's bad.
2 crore American household are delaying their utility bill payments. In Germany, the minister says that, look, we can't do more than 1 lakh transactions a day to transfer money from German government to German citizens. In India, we transfer crores of transactions every day. In UK, They are now telling departmental stores that please remove expired good labels and keep expired goods separately so that people can come and buy.
Oh.
In Russia, the largest oil company chairman fell down from hospital window and died. He's the eighth businessman to die in such a situation. And he had criticized Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So one doesn't know whether he fell down or he was pushed back.
Yeah.
In this global desert where people are behind in payment of utility bills, where government is unable to transfer payment to needy people, where industrialists are being pushed from the hospital window, where expired goods have to be allowed to be consumed by citizens. Look at India. 6 out of 10 fastest growing city in the world are in India for calendar year 2022. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this is 1 year, but hopefully, once we have reached here, we'll maintain that in the years to come.
Yeah.
Top three construction activity center are in India: Delhi, Bangalore, and Hyderabad. I think the epitome of Indian oasis is demonstrated in the annual report of Amul. Amul is India's largest FMCG company. They have turnover of about 61,000 crore
Yeah.
from milk and other products. For the centenary year of India in 2047, they want to be the world's largest food company with 18 lakh crore turnover.
Wow. Wow.
Indian companies are saying that अभी इंडिया हमारे लिए छोटा हो गया, we want to be the world's biggest. Now, in this news item of last 15 days, you know that India is truly oasis in the desert.
Right.
Whole world is suffering from a massive sandstorm. If sandstorm blows, some sand will fall in oasis also. But once the dust settles, our oasis will be visible to everyone.
Yeah, that's one heck of an OSS. जब आपने ये सारा कहा, तब I realized that it is very easy to focus on the daily volatility etc. and see कि यार market आज तेज नहीं चल रहा है, मंदी सा मौसम छाया, but we don't realize that how big is India getting fundamentally and structurally, how strong it is getting. I guess कुछ हफ्ते पहले आपने एक इंटरव्यू में आपने मेंशन किया था that by 2030 you are expecting India to be amongst the largest three countries if I'm not wrong, and
Yeah,
उसी उसी के कुछ दिनों बाद हमने देखा कि India has already overtaken UK, so the trajectory is like really really strong already, building up there.
absolutely.
सो इनफैक्ट जब हम इंडिया की इतनी स्ट्रांग फुटिंग के बारे में बात करते हैं, तभी आई रियलाइज कि एक ये भी मान्यता है कि ये जो गुड स्टोरी है या बेटर स्टोरी है, ये काफी हद तक प्राइस इन हो चुकी है। अगर हम इक्विटी कैपिटल मार्केट्स के बारे में बात करें तो इक्विटी मार्केट्स को देखते हुए ये काफी एक एक वाइड स्प्रेड धारणा है कि राइट नाउ वी आर इन द ओवरबॉट जोन, एटलीस्ट ब्रॉडर इंडाइसेस. Valuations are seeming far too rich, especially considering the risks that are looming ahead of us. जो कि हालांकि most of the risks are facing the world. It's not just India in isolation, right? But still, there are a lot many commentaries and observations on valuations specifically. आपकी क्या राय है इंडियन मार्केट्स की वैल्यूएशन पर?
So, Nirav, you are bang on. On a 1 year basis, India does look at a marginal premium to its own historical average.
Yeah,
हमारा 10-15 साल का पी रेशो 18.5 होगा. टुडे वी आर एट 20 टाइम्स फॉरवर्ड, तो मोटा मोटा 10% प्रीमियम है.
yeah,
बट आर प्रॉब्लम इज दैट हम तो अपनी हिस्टोरिकल एवरेज के आसपास ही है. अदर्स हैव फॉलन अ लॉट.
yeah,
Our historical average premium to our peer group was about 40%.
yes,
Today it is 76%. So, on a 1 year basis, all the positive news which I talked about are definitely factored into the market.
yeah,
But the kashmakash is, do I invest in India on a 1 year basis or do I invest in India on a 5 year basis? Because
right,
while on a 1 year basis, I am at a marginal premium to my historical average, on a 5 year basis, I am the cheapest emerging market.
Oh wow, yeah,
We
actually,
have delivered 4 times more return than our emerging market peers in last 8 years.
yes,
We have delivered 6 times more return than our emerging market peers in last 12 years. And we have delivered 1.5 times more return in last 20 years. Now, because we are delivering this excess return over our peers, maybe market will be willing to give us a premium.
yeah,
So it will be fair to say that we are transiting from point A to point B, and in between there will be roller coaster, right? Because there are Char Akbar Raja troubling our Anarkali.
yeah. Anarkali has to do the disco, especially when she has four Akbars troubling her. Can imagine. Absolutely, Nilesh. I feel जो आपने कहा, it made a whole lot of sense कि एक 1 year perspective होता है, एक 5 year perspective होता है, और जबकि हम समझते हैं कि जब आप भी funds manage करते हैं, एक longer term wealth creation वाली story बहुत ही जरूरी होती है, while मैनेजिंग फंड्स एटसेट्रा। एंड आई फील ये जो आपने कहा ये काफी हद तक आपके पोर्टफोलियोज में भी दर्शाता है। Like when you were speaking, I realized you have a very strong undertone of belief in the economic expansion of India as an economy, right? और आपके पोर्टफोलियोज में भी अगर देखेंगे तो काफी साइक्लिकल से एक्सपोजर्स है। इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग, आपके जो कैपिटल गुड्स, इंडस्ट्रियल्स, यूटिलिटीज एज सेक्टर्स के प्रति जो आपके वेटेजेस है काफी एग्रेसिव से है, which typically tends to do well in an expansionary cycle. So I am led to believe, अगर 1+1 किया जाए, कि there is a very strong belief in the macro story, and hence such exposures will play off. And in fact, we have seen these attributing to some fantastic performance across many of the funds that you manage. तो क्या ये बात सही है कि you are witnessing a cyclical uptick, या is it simply by chance that we are seeing such exposure to such sectors?
No, this is designed not by chance. Uh, See, all this industrial and capital goods company had a drought of order. The
Hmm.
private capex was on the back foot, and
Yeah,
only the state capex, the government capex, was on the front foot.
yeah,
Now, in that 4 5 year period when private capex was low, all this company cut cost. They made themselves very, very efficient. And now suddenly they are getting orders from government like before. They've started receiving orders from private sector as capacity utilization reached 75% and capital drawing started coming out. And
hmm.
more importantly, there is a big large exports market which is emerging.
Hmm.
Earlier people were buying from China, now they want to buy from India.
Yeah,
It's a small shift, a long term shift, but it's bringing plenty of business for capital goods company in India.
yeah,
Put all together, they are seeing their volume increasing and their margin expanding, and that is reflected into the capital goods story. We
yeah.
run a fund called Kotak Infrastructure and Economic Reform Fund.
Yes.
Don't talk about it much because it's a sector fund. It's a
Yeah,
high risk, high return fund.
yeah,
I was just chatting with my fund manager Harish Krishnan, who manages this fund, and to our surprise, we realize that last 10-year SIP return is close to 17%. That means infrastructure stock has delivered almost as much return as consumption story over last 10 years.
yeah,
This is not like Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli scoring runs, but Akshar Patel coming and scoring winning runs.
yeah, yeah.
Now, this has all happened because this capital goods and engineering companies, they are suddenly getting operating leverage, and we
Yes.
believe this is multi-year story. It's not a story of this year or next, but it is a couple of years story put together.
Yeah, I feel the China plus one story is really, really playing out in India's favor. And जो तीन आपने important vectors mention किए, मैं दोहरा रहा हूँ for the audience, कि government के जो orders है, it has become more and more robust. private capex has increased, and now exports have reopened and reopened, and how it is really promising at this juncture. So Nilesh, जब हम ये cyclicality की बात करते हैं और economic expansion की बात करते हैं, and especially since I'm talking to you, I absolutely have to talk about this NFO that's ongoing as we speak. Kotak Mutual Fund has launched a business cycle fund. सो एक जो बहुत ही एक बेसिक सा सवाल है, लेकिन कईयों के मन में आता है कि अब आप सारे फंड्स को ही तो बिजनेस साइकिल के साथ अलाइन करते हो. सो व्हाट इज गोइंग टू बी सो डिफरेंट अबाउट दिस बिजनेस साइकिल फंड स्पेसिफिकली?
So in all my fund, I have to follow certain minimum allocation based on SEBI regulation. For
यस.
example, March 2020 में हमें लग रहा था कि small and mid cap will do well. But in my Kotak Blue Chip, which is a large cap fund, I have to keep minimum 80% in large cap.
Yeah.
I can't shift everything into small and mid cap. Kotak Business Cycle Fund is unconstrained fund. It's a flexi cap fund. It can move between large, mid, and small depending upon fund manager's view. Now, we also have a fund called Kotak Flexi Cap Fund,
Yes.
where technically we can do what I'm going to do in business cycle fund.
Yes.
But practically, it's a 35,000 crore fund. Now, you can't run a ship tanker like a speedboat.
Oh yeah.
So, because of the size restriction, my flexi cap fund has become large cap biased, but my Kotak business cycle fund will remain unconstrained fund because it is of a smaller size. Now, the second thing which this business cycle fund will do is that it will have a reasonable allocation towards top 7 to 8 sectors, which we believe will outperform the market. Now, I'm sure 1 or 2 of our calls will go wrong, but if 6 of our call goes right and 2 call goes wrong, that will be
Yeah.
a good outcome.
Yes.
So this fund becomes unconstrained fund with all the flexibility to go into various sectors and various stocks. And as long as fund manager's call comes right, this fund will deliver better return.
Right. So, in fact, I feel the ship and speedboat example really put it into perspective. One can think about the business cycle fund being, drawing upon the brilliant, methodology that FlexiCap fund is following. We all know that it is a really fantastic fund and has a very solid track record, in terms of performing really well. At the same time, I feel this business cycle fund could look like that, but with just so much more nimbleness and agility and aggressiveness to pursue the theme that you're trying to follow because of the size benefit, right? That would be a correct way to interpret, right?
Absolutely, Nirav, bang on.
ओके. सो जब हम बिजनेस साइकिल्स की बात कर रहे हैं, राइट नाउ दैट वी नो दैट व्हाई आर यू लॉन्चिंग दिस फंड, वी आल्सो वांट टू हियर योर व्यूज ऑन अ कपल ऑफ मोर साइक्लिकल सेक्टर्स जैसे आपके बाकी फंड्स में. फ्लेक्सी कैप में भी अगर देखा जाए तो आपका रीजनेबल एलोकेशन ऑब्वियसली कैपिटल गुड्स इंडस्ट्रियल्स के तरफ है ही, बट उसके साथ ही साथ you are the fund house seems to be very optimistic on the banking and financial services segment as a whole. So इस पे आपकी क्या राय है? Why is it that you're so optimistic on this?
So in banking, Nirav भाई, अगर आप इस वक्त डिपॉजिट देना चाहे या बोरोइंग करना चाहे, 90% of people will go to 5 banks only, 1 PSU, 4 private.
Yes.
There is a consolidation happening in business.
Yes.
Second, all the Malyas, Modis, and Choksis who borrowed money from bank and didn't want to repay are out of country.
Absolutely.
Their assets have been seized, NPS have been recovered or provided for. That means our banking balance sheet is in a very, very good shape.
Yeah.
Third, when interest rate goes up like it is happening in India right now, banks' net interest margin expands. So you are going to see more profitability in bank. And fourth, between October 21 to June 22, foreigners came to sell banks. Of that $35 billion which they sold, a reasonably large portion was from banking sector.
Yeah.
That has suppressed the prices.
Yeah.
Now you have banking sector which is in good health, limited NPA, whose margins are expanding. where business is getting consolidated in favor of four or five banks,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it's available at reasonable valuation. तो ये तो
Yeah.
सोने पे सुहागा है. इससे अच्छा
Absolutely.
कॉम्बिनेशन मिलेगा ही नहीं बैंक में इन्वेस्ट करने के लिए.
Absolutely, absolutely makes complete sense. Now I get the story in entirety. But जब हम when we are talking about the themes that you are really optimistic on, we also I feel it is almost my fiduciary to ask the themes that or the segments that are worrying and spooking investors at this point. एक काफी काफी लोगों को डिफेंसिव्स की बड़ी चिंता है at this point in time. और जब मैं डिफेंसिव्स की बात करता हूँ, वी नो around and on top of the chart we have our darling sectors of IT and pharma, जो जिसे देख के काफी लोग बहुत ही चिंतित है. Investors are also worried about how are these sectors going to perform. So your thoughts on just a brief on how do you feel about these defensive segments?
So, see, we think consumer, IT, and pharma are in some sense defensive. Now, for 9 months, from October 21 to June 22, listed FMCG companies' volumes have declined.
Yeah.
That means if people were selling 100 biscuits earlier, now they are selling 96 biscuits or 99 biscuits.
Hmm.
When volume is degrowing, how can that sector be defensive?
Yeah.
Defensive sectors are where sales will not be impacted by economic variables.
Yeah. Yeah.
But unfortunately, in consumer sector this time, the sales have declined, volume have declined because of the global scenario.
Hmm. Hmm.
In pharma, the defensiveness has disappeared because any company's factory can suddenly receive US FTA notice.
Yeah.
Companies have no clarity when they are going to get approval from US FTA to launch their product in US.
Hmm.
And third, by the time they go out to launch, the prices drop quite significantly.
Right.
So pharma suddenly has lost its appeal from being a defensive sector as growth cannot be taken for granted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Finally, it was IT because of governance, because of growth. They were considered blue chip. Unfortunately, this time in IT, the valuations are correcting as growth has slowed down. Put all these things together, neither IT nor pharma nor FMCG is defensive sector at this point of time. They are also as vulnerable to the market as any other sector.
Oh, yes. Yes. In fact, talking about vulnerability, I could perhaps resonate that if you look at the expenses that pharma is making on the research and development side, maybe not really as adequate. If we talk about the IT segment, we understand that the tech spends, global tech spends and tech budgets seem to be really cramped. People are holding back onto it. So I can clearly see up क्यों ऐसा कह रहे हो. It is no longer defensive. I feel that's a wonderful perspective, Nilesh. इनफैक्ट जब हम ये सेक्टर्स की भी बात करते हैं तो ब्रॉडर मार्केट के बारे में जब भी बात करते हैं, बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट पहलू होता है फॉरेन होल्डिंग्स जो कि मार्केट में होता है. जैसे मान लीजिए आज भी तकरीबन 26-27% फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर्स होल्ड करते हैं. तकरीबन 19-20% पोर्टफोलियो इन्वेस्टर्स के पास है और 8-9% एफडीआईज के पास है. सो और अगर देखा जाए तो दिस इज मच लार्जर देन व्हाट आर domestic institutions and individuals are holding, right? I'm excluding promoters at this point. So ये जो dependency हमारी बनती जा रही है foreign money पे, do you think that is receding with time? What is your outlook on it going ahead? Because in the first 6 months, they took their money off. We saw some great resilience. पिछले 2 महीने में जब वो re-enter किए, तब तक लगता है कि domestic investors are now starting to take the money off the table. So what is your view on our dependency on foreign capital for our markets?
So, from an investor point of view, whether it's local money or foreign money, it is the same. There's no difference in objective of my investing local money versus my investing my foreign customers' money. We are the same.
Hmm.
But The foreign money can be vulnerable. If you are sitting in US and you hear bad news about India, there is a reasonably good chance that he will redeem and go away. But a
Hmm.
local money is unlikely to redeem and go away. He'll continue to remain invested.
Hmm.
So the reason why we worry about foreign and global investors, one, they control a still reasonable part of our market. Their interest and our interest are aligned in terms of making money, but they are reasonably short term in nature. Domestic money is reasonably long term in nature. The benefits of wealth creation will flow locally if it's routed via mutual fund, and will flow globally if it is routed via such
Hmm.
vehicles.
Hmm.
So
Right.
we need to welcome foreign flows, at the same time also facilitated domestic flows into the market.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. In fact, आपने एक बहुत ही important point बयां की कि it doesn't really matter for an investor, right? When he's investing, what matters is that the capital keeps coming, along with his own capital, right? So when we are talking about investors and what matters to investors, I am really inquisitive, and I'm sure the audience is also. What was your first experience with the equity investing? We know you have been a fantastic fund manager. You have created wealth for so many investors. But how was your first experience with equity investing?
So I was novice. I got lured by Arshad Mehta time in the market, where टिप्स के ऊपर आप कुछ भी खरीद लो भाव बढ़ते थे. I thought this is the easiest way to make money, and I learned a very good lesson that टिप्स के भरोसे market नहीं चलता. No one is interested in your welfare except your mother and father. So you better study, research the company, and then make investment. I
Right.
lost 100% of my investment in my first
Oh,
journey into the market, but I'm
100% completely.
100%. I lost everything.
Oh.
बट आई एम थैंकफुल टू द गॉड दैट मैंने बहुत छोटे पैमाने पे शुरू करके पैसा खो दिया और एक सबक सीख लिया जो आज तक काम आ रहा है.
Oh, fantastic. I am so glad that you got back into it. I can just imagine काफी हमारे इन्वेस्टर्स हैं जिनको छोटा भी लॉस लग जाता है तो वो कभी फिर से छू नहीं पाते इंडियन इक्विटीज इन एनी फॉर्म. So I feel that's also an inspiration for us new investors. कि take it as a learning, take it as a tuition fee you paid the market, and learn and get better at it. I feel very inspirational from that standpoint. इनफैक्ट आपका आज भी जब आप इन्वेस्ट करते हो, क्या आप डायरेक्टली इक्विटीज में इन्वेस्ट करते हो, या आई हैव टू आस्क हाउ हाउ डू यू इन्वेस्ट?
So except my ESOPs which I exercise, and they are in some sense direct equity purchase.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't buy secondary equity. I put my money in mutual fund schemes. A large part of that is driven by skin in the game circular. And because of the job restrictions which I have, my only secondary market buying is my ESOPs.
Oh, fantastic. So mutual funds वाकई में सही है. Guys, you need to pay attention. If Nilesh himself invests into mutual funds, I feel there is no reason for you guys to be apprehensive or really wonder if mutual funds are really efficient or effective. I have massive trust that Nilesh really knows what he's doing. And अगर Nilesh भाई कर रहे हैं, I feel that is enough of a guidance for you to choose the right product. So also नीलेश भाई, जब मैं आपका एक आर्टिकल पढ़ रहा था, तभी एक प्रॉपअप हुआ था आपके एक इंटरव्यू में, जहाँ पे आपने मेंशन किया था कि आपका काफी सिग्निफिकेंट एक्सपोजर पैसिव फंड्स को नहीं है. इज देयर एनी पर्टिकुलर रीजन इस पे? आपके थॉट्स, आई वुड लाइक टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस बेटर.
So I have always trusted my fund managers to outperform benchmark index. पहले वो होता ही रहता था. अब थोड़ा सिक्लिकल हो गया है, कुछ दिन होता है कुछ दिन नहीं होता है. But I still believe in India, a good fund manager will be able to add value to a customer's portfolio. He will deliver better return than the benchmark index or market. And I have full faith in my fund managers that they are doing such a good job. They will do better than the market. Why let go extra?
Oh, absolutely. You know, this is almost India's theme. भैया थोड़ा extra मिलेगा, थोड़ा ज़्यादा
यस,
मिलेगा. I feel all of us want
भेलपुरी
that.
के साथ एक सूखा पूरी चाहिए ही चाहिए।
और एक सूखा पूरी के बाद एक और अगर मिल जाए तो सोने पे सुहागा, तो क्या
वो
बात है.
सोने पे सुहागा।
Absolutely. Also, that Nilesh, see, you are, you know, you are amongst the most savviest investors that is out there in India. और एक काफी एक यू नो एक ट्रेंड सा चला है जहाँ पर काफी लोग ये मानते हैं कि यू नो इंटरनेशनल इन्वेस्टिंग भी करना चाहिए. यू नो शायद इंडिया में ऐसे अपॉर्चुनिटीज नहीं है जो यूएस में मिल सके. एंड यू नो इन दिस गैम्बिट most of them tend to overexpose themselves to markets like the US. So, आपके personal investing philosophy में, for your own personal investing, do you also invest internationally? If yes, why? No, why? We would love to hear.
So my international exposure is via gold.
Okay.
I have some physical gold for my daughter's marriage. That's my international assets linked to dollar price.
Hmm.
I have always believed in India growth story. Most of my money are invested in India. Partly this is driven by one bad experience where based on a friend's advice I had put some money offshore and again I lost 100% over there. Now, because there is skin in the game circular, some money does get allocated to offshore assets, but that's very marginal. I'm India bull. इंडिया में ही अपना अच्छा पैसा बन रहा है और बनता रहेगा.
Absolutely. So, Nilesh, you know, before we get to audience questions, you know, one last question मेरे तरफ से. I realized कि आपने काफी cycles देखे हैं, आपने काफी investors से, you know, you have experienced and witnessed conversations with investors also, और आपने खुद ने भी बहुत actively participate किया है. ऐसे काफी गलतियां आपने देखी होगी जो इन्वेस्टर्स करते हैं across cycles. So, what is that one mistake that you really want to warn our watchers about? कि देखिए ये जो एक मिस्टेक है ये हर साल हर डिकेड रिपीट होते रहता है. आप एटलीस्ट ये एक मिस्टेक से सावधान रहिए. आपके हिसाब से वो क्या नसीहत होगी?
सो एक ही, न ज्यादा लालची बनिए, न ज्यादा भयभीत बनिए. When market starts going up, people become greedy.
या
And when market starts falling, people become fearful. But you have to play contra. In a falling market, you have to buy, and in a rising market, you have to sell to make money. Buy low, sell high is the only way to make money. So please maintain equilibrium. ना लालची बनिए ना भयभीत बनिए.
Absolutely. I feel that's a wonderful, you know, I'd say, you know, nasihat for the lack of a better word, हमारे audience के लिए, viewers के लिए. बहुत सारे सवाल है लोगों के, but I will just be selecting a couple of them in interest of time. Nilesh, एक सवाल है कि can someone invest 50% of his equity in mid and small cap, considering his risk profile is aggressive and he has a 15-year plus horizon? Does the risk justify the return potential?
Definitely, if you are aggressive with such a long term horizon, that's very good. And then you can put 50% allocation in small and mid cap. You can even put 15-20 allocation in 15-20% allocation in sectoral or thematic fund. So that allocation is perfectly with the risk profile and time horizon you have mentioned.
Absolutely. एक और सवाल है जो बहुत ही फंड स्पेसिफिक है. You know, the AUM of Kotak Small Cap Fund has been close to 9,000 odd crores. Do you think that this makes the fund less flexible? Is this too much? And does it really impact returns in future because it's a small cap fund?
So if I was managing 900 crore fund, I would have run it like a speedboat. If I'm managing a 9,000 crore fund, I'm going to run it like more like a launch or a bigger speedboat. When it becomes let's say 20 25,000 crore fund, I'll have to run it like a tanker. So I will change my technique depending upon what is the size of my fund, depending upon what is the opportunity in the market. And clearly you will have to keep on making adjustment in your approach to manage money at different points of size. We still believe at 9,000 crore, Kotak Small Cap Fund is manageable as we inculcate discipline of regular investment from investors. We make them ready for a volatile ride and become a long term investor.
So fantastic, Nilesh. One last question. Guys, I know बहुत सारे सवाल है, but please write to us at either ask@fisdom.com or research@fisdom.com. But I will be taking one last question for the day. We'll try to help you separately if we haven't answered yours. So, Nilesh, the last question is. Uh, what percentage of one's portfolio can he allocate to the business cycle fund that Kotak has launched?
So you should not be putting in more than 2 to 3% of your portfolio in a NFO. No more than 2 to 3%.
Absolutely. I feel that's a lovely, straightforward answer. I hope that answers. So, Nilesh, this brings us to the end of this conversation. As usual, as always, I am super excited and glad that I had the opportunity to have this interaction and learn so much from you. So, Nilesh, thanks a lot. I know you have been having a really jam-packed schedule, and you still were able to take time out for this. I'm really, really grateful that you were able to do this for us and the audience.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nirav. Please stay invested in India growth story. The next 8-10 years will be as rewarding as last 30 years. When I started my career, Nirav, the market cap and GDP was roughly about $300 billion.
Hmm.
In 2021, it touched $3 trillion. So roughly in 30 years, we created value of about $2,700 billion. Now,
Yeah.
economy will grow from 3 to 6 trillion between 2021 to 2030.
Hmm.
Now, 30 can become 32 also and 29 also, but that's immaterial.
Hmm.
And Mota market cap will go from 3 to 6. So
Yeah.
effectively over next 8 to 10 years, we will create $3,000 billion worth of market cap, which is more than $2,700 billion market cap, which we created between 91 to 21.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I feel I completely agree. I can see why you're saying it, and I know you have quite a track record of calling the uptick, well in advance. I feel that's a wonderful parting piece of, I won't call it a tip, but an advice. और जो tip खोज रहे वो advice खोजो जरा और इस पे ध्यान दे. Nilesh has given a wonderful advice to each one of you. Thank you, Nilesh bhai. It has been such a pleasure. I'm so glad that you shared your insights with us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.